Hi, I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Kristina. We're two best friends who met in college 12 years ago. I'm now a stay-at-home mom with 2 children, a preteen and a toddler.
And I'm a career mom with a toddler. We've been through a lot of life together, and we're here to tell you all the stuff we wish people would have told us. We are Millennial Moms.
Welcome to another episode of Millennial Momming. I am Kristina, and I am here with a very special guest host. My best friend of 15 years now?
Since you were 18. Only.
How old am I?
Yes.
Yeah, so 15 years. My best friend, Krissy.
Hello.
Krissy's really quiet by nature, and I'm really loud by nature, so...
It's worked for 15 years.
Yeah, so it's totally fine. But if you can't hear her, we'll crank up.
I'll lean in closer.
Perfect. That was good. That was really good. So Krissy is a mom. Tell us about your children.
So I have an 11-year-old boy, Brighton, who is Brighton. And then I have Sophia, who is 5.
Yes.
Yes.
So a big gap between the two.
Big gap. So Brighton I had as a single mom. And Sophia and I, obviously I had her after Jared and I got together.
Yes.
6 months.
And Jared is your lovely husband.
My lovely husband.
You guys just celebrated your anniversary.
2-year anniversary. We got married during COVID. Best advice ever. Get married during a global pandemic.
Yeah, because then nobody can come and it's not your fault.
Not my fault. Can't invite everybody. Darn.
You had a really nice wedding, but it was so funny because it was like smack in the middle of COVID.
May 1st, 2020.
Yeah.
Beginning of
So
COVID.
right when it got real. And I remember the advice was no more than 10 people could gather.
Yes.
So you counted out and made sure you had exactly
10 people.
10 people at your wedding.
It was awesome. Yeah. But leading up to that really sucked because we had planned our wedding. It was at a city park and 50 people. And then each week something happened. And at the beginning of COVID, I was like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. We can still do my bachelorette party and all this. And then you guys were like, no, everything's closed.
It was the week leading up to the bachelorette party that everything, the news had a new thing every day. And COVID went from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah, it was March 28th, 2020 was supposed to be my bachelorette party.
And I think the first case of COVID hit our town in Nebraska,
March.
right? It was the first Nebraska case. Mm-hmm. And it happened to be in our tiny little town. And that was March 9th or something?
March 13th.
Okay, March 13th.
It was Friday the 13th.
So, of course it was.
Right?
And what's today? Friday the 13th. No, that was yesterday.
That was Friday. Or yesterday. Or the same thing.
I don't know. I don't know what day it is.
It's just good again.
They're just a blur. But yeah, so March 28th was supposed to be your bachelorette party, and we kept okay, we can still do it.
We're going to be okay.
It's going to be all right. And then the next week came, and then it was the cases were just
you guys started, then
up.
I had people that were starting to be like, I don't think I'm going to go. And then I was devastated. I'm like, no, you guys can't miss it. It's not that big of a deal. And then Dusty texted me and she's like, everything's closed. I just got an email from everybody.
It was week, it was a week before that all the places that we were supposed to go just shut down. So you never got your bachelorette.
I did never get my bachelorette party.
I have a surprise for you.
You do?
We're
going to go back to 2020?
Yes. I created a time machine.
With a flux capacitor?
Yes!
In a DeLorean?
And we're going back, baby. No, we are actually going to rethrow your bachelorette party.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. The second weekend of June.
Oh, it's my birthday.
That's why we did it. But yeah, it is in the works, and
That's exciting. Aww.
I know.
You guys are so sweet.
We thought, you know what? If any bitch deserves it, it's this one. I don't know who's all gonna come, but we are still planning
more people than the first one. For sure.
Yeah. So we definitely want to do. I think we're gonna do the paint, the sip and paint, or whatever the hell it's called, and then the Wicked Rabbit, the bar that you really wanted to go to. That's the speakeasy or whatever. So those are the two things that we have
Aw,
in our brains.
that's
So
amazing.
we are working on it. It'll be super fun. It's not a big deal that I never got one, but like you should have one.
Thank you. I appreciate you recognizing that.
I'm gonna live vicariously through you.
The
I feel
funny
like we
part is,
should.
What I did for my bachelorette party was actually the Teresa. I called her.
That's
You gave that
right.
to me, and I did that the day that my bachelorette was supposed to be.
That's so funny. I
Mhm.
forgot about that. Yeah, I had gotten my mom a reading with Teresa for Mother's Day. And I had told her that because I was like, oh, I'll schedule it for you, and this is what your Mother's Day present is going to be. And then she decided she didn't want to do that. And I thought, well, I'm not just going to use it for myself. I've already been. And then I felt terrible that your whole bachelorette and wedding had been taken over by COVID. So yeah, I did. I gave it to you. So
Yeah.
you did that the day
The
of your
day that it was
bachelorette
supposed
party.
to be my bachelorette party.
That's so cool. Did you have a good experience with her?
Oh yeah, she's amazing.
She is amazing.
She really is.
Was there anything that she told you that like blew your mind?
Yes. So like, I had a miscarriage years ago, and she talked about that baby. It was a little girl. So that was really sweet.
That is.
Mhm.
She brings up things that like you don't even really remember
Yeah.
or have put out of your brain. And then you're like, whoa. When I went to see her, I had also had a miscarriage like 1 year before Amara. And she had told me that was a little boy. And it was so funny because the thing that he told her, my dad is really funny, which we thought was really funny because
Jaden would disagree. Just so you know.
Yes, Jaden thinks Randy's very cringy. No, but we all find Randy pretty
Yes,
funny. So that was funny. So let's see. You've got 2 kids. You're married. How old are you?
I am 34 for another month.
Oh man, how does it feel? The fact that you and
don't worry. My brother called me this year to inform me that officially on my birthday you round up and I'm officially 40.
So you're basically 40.
That's what he told me.
In June.
Yes.
How does that feel to be basically 40?
That's 30. 30 killed me. I don't know how I'm going to handle 40 already. I feel like 30 was just a couple years ago.
Do you remember your 21st?
Yes. I remember my 21st at your house.
Yeah,
where
what did we do?
To go to the gas station at midnight and get alcohol because nothing else was open.
Yep. And we literally, I think we drank at the house prior.
We did.
Yeah. We procured alcohol.
Somehow.
And we're drinking before midnight. And then you turned 21. I still have the photo of you holding up your ID. And so excited. And the bottle. And it was Parrots Bay. Parrot Bay. Coconut something.
Yep.
I don't think we've drank it since.
Nope.
It was pretty bad.
It was terrible. But at 21, any alcohol
was good alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we met. I was 18.
Yes, and we worked together.
We did. And
we were best friends from day one.
That is a lie. We actually hated each other.
Hated her.
Yeah. Because Krissy is very bubbly. Not so much these days.
Not so much.
But
when I was younger.
At 19.
When I was young and hip and fresh.
Still wet behind the ears.
Yeah. Then I was bubbly.
Very bubbly and very sweet and very like demure. God. And like people would come to where we worked and she'd be like, hello, you know.
And that is not an exaggeration.
No, that is, I've perfected how she spoke to customers. And then people would come up to me and I'd be like, what? And I told my mom that I now worked with the most annoying human I had ever met in my life. And you said, and I quote, she's a huge bitch.
I didn't think we could say terrible words.
We can bleep them out. Okay. They'll get the idea.
That's why I didn't say it.
Say what you want to say. Okay. We can fix it later.
She was a bitch. She still is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going on me.
But I'm like a really good bitch.
Yes.
You know? Like the best bitch to have in your corner.
Yes.
For sure.
For real. For real.
And then somehow we became friends. I don't know.
So I remember the first time we hung out. So you did not like my ex-boyfriend at the time.
Understatement of the century.
No, but we had broken up.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, hey, a bunch of us are going bowling. You should go with us. And I was like, we'll see. And then my ex-boyfriend had other plans that night. So I was like, fine, I'll go hang out with these people. And then you're like, hey, we're going back to my place. You should come with. And I was like, we'll see. And I was like, oh, he still hasn't called. I guess I'll go hang out with these people.
That's sweet.
And we had been friends ever since.
Ever since. Besties. Inseparable.
And then we hung out all the time after that, and I did not care
No.
if he called or not. In fact, I remember showing up at Walgreens after he called one time, like, hey, we should hang out. And I was like, no. And I was like, hey, that was not so bad.
Yeah, and then you came into Walgreens sobbing.
Sobbing.
And I was working the photo department. And you came in sobbing. And I thought, oh, I'm going to go take a break. And we sobbed in the bathroom of Walgreens. And I was so proud of you. I remember telling you that. Like, it's okay.
It's okay.
And look, it's been great ever since. I mean...
Our friendship has been great.
Yeah.
Relationships have not been.
Yeah. But we've always, like, one thing about us is we have always been there when the other person needed us. It was not a question. It didn't matter what time it was. It could be 4 a.m.
Yeah. You have came over to my house while I was... Hold on, there's a couple times.
Yeah. I remember I walked into your house, knocked, opened the door, walked in. Your mom was in the kitchen. I said, where's Krissy? This woman doesn't even know me. And then she's like, she's downstairs. Okay, well, I guess I'm going downstairs. And I marched down there, and you were sitting on your closet floor, like cleaning out your closet. Didn't say hello. I took my pregnancy test, and I threw it at you and said, is that a plus sign? And you, the look on your face was like, A, what are you doing here? B, why is there a pee stick in my lap?
C, hello to you too.
And then you just like looked down at it and looked up at me and you were like, I think that's a plus sign. And I was like, what the am I gonna do? And you were so calm and you're like, look, let's go get another test. Let's make sure. I'm dying. And this calm, cool, and collected is like, let's breathe. Let's go find out. So then we went and got another pregnancy test.
And a pee cup at Burger King.
We went to Burger King and got a cup because
we didn't have one.
We didn't have one, and I don't pee on the stick. I have to pee in a cup. And I remember us discussing it in the Burger King drive-thru. And you turned to me and you're like, I can't wait to hear this on YouTube tomorrow. Our whole conversation about this pregnancy test. But yeah, so we go back a ways. But
Which is funny because you also brought me my first pregnancy test.
Yes.
I was working at the nursing home and I was like, hey, I've kind of been feeling off. Will you bring me one? And then I took my break and I went and I took a pee test at work.
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough. And you've been to almost all of my ultrasounds with me.
I have.
You didn't go to my very last one because Jared was there for Sophia's 20 weeks. But other than that...
But I was there for Sophia's first one.
Which I was going in to have an ultrasound for ovarian cancer.
Yes.
I was convinced.
We had been down this road before because, as you said, you had a miscarriage. Mm-hmm. And I was at that ultrasound when we found out that there was no heartbeat.
And you were there when I had Brighton's ultrasound.
Yep. So this had not been our first rodeo.
At all.
But she...
Pros at this time.
Pregnancy wasn't on the table. She had thought, that it was cancer, and she was really scared. So I was like, look, I'll take off work. I'll come. I'll be there for you.
I also want to point out, I was on birth control, and I took the morning after pill because my husband now, but boyfriend at the time, we only saw each other once every week or something like that. So not only was I on birth control, Plan B pill.
Yep.
So not on the table whatsoever.
No, we thought we were about to hear that she was dying. Mm-hmm. So we're in the room, and she's laying down, and they are ultrasounding her. The second they touched that thing to your belly, as big as life, pops up Sophia.
And you were like...
Holy that's a baby!
I was 3 months pregnant at that time.
And of course they had
really start my second trimester.
Yeah, and they really zoomed in because obviously you're not looking for a baby, you're looking for tiny cancer cells. Mm-hmm. So that baby took up the whole screen, and I lost. And then I said, I am so sorry that I just shouted holy in your room. And I looked at Krissy and she was just stunned and with one tear trickling down the side of her face. It wasn't planned, it turns out.
At all. We hadn't even been together a year. So at the time I got pregnant, we're only 6 months in to a relationship that I saw him once a week.
So you had really been on like 24 dates.
Basically.
And now you've got a baby.
Never go see Goosebumps in 3D.
Apparently it really gets things going.
Apparently. He banned us from going seeing Goosebumps.
And Twilight, it turns out.
And Twilight. Should just stop watching
Don't go to the
movies.
movies anymore. Yeah, so it's been really fun. So we've been through some stuff. It's so weird because like I've been friends with you since I was a teenager. So it's very weird when we sit and talk about the fact that we're in our 30s.
Yes.
Because I'm like, whoa. Like in my head, when we get together, we're still 18.
We're still those kids.
And then we sit and talk about our children and
Like, oh.
being old and everything hurts. And
yeah.
Then we're just like, wow, how did this happen? It went so fast. It's such a cliche because people are like, oh, as you get older, you realize how fast time goes. And when you're young, you don't even think about it. You know, a summer feels like an eternity. Now I blink and I'm a whole year older.
That first summer that we hung out, like that summer lasted forever. Like I have so many memories and pictures from that summer because it lasted so long.
It was 2018.
No.
Yeah.
2018. We already had 2 kids.
2008. See what happens when you get old?
It was 2008 because that's when I turned 21.
Yes, it was 2008. Yep. Wow.
That's that one summer that we
had
hung out before that.
Man, that was fun.
It was a great summer.
Until it wasn't. So anyway, what did we decide we would talk about today?
We were going to do hot topics.
Hot topics, yes. So a couple big things in the news right now. Number 1, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
That is like my entire TikTok right
now.
Oh
yeah, and it is juicy. What do you think? What's your quick take on Johnny Depp and Amber Heard?
That is a shit show going on. Obviously Johnny Depp's lawyers are way more prepared than Amber Heard's. And I don't know if it's just because they really thought they had it in the bag, so they didn't prepare for it. For going into a case this big with that much celebrity power, and they just look like they have no idea what's going on.
They look like it's their first case out of law school.
So I feel like she did not prepare them at all for like, hey, this is stuff that they could possibly talk about. This might be evidence they have. Like, I don't know if she just gave them nothing. They were just totally like, we've got this.
Yeah.
But his lawyers have came with everything.
Both arms swinging.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think she comes off as disingenuous. I think she comes off as unbelievable.
Which makes it really hard for like actual survivors of domestic violence.
I think that's the hardest part of the whole thing because at this point, it seems very clear that what she said happened did not happen. Yeah. That's up for a jury to decide. But based on the many hours of courtroom I've watched, that's the vibe I'm getting, is that she is not coming off as being believable. That's really tragic for people of victims of domestic violence who have really been through these terrible things. And now because of Amber Heard, they're not going to be believed. And I think that's really, really shitty of her, knowing, going into the situation, that this was the effect you were going to have.
Yeah. Like, it's already extremely hard for people to come out and be like, hey, I was a survivor, this is what happened. But now, every time they say it, people are going to be like,
oh, but remember really? Amber Heard?
Like, are you just looking for attention? Like,
I feel like I really respect Johnny Depp, how he's handled himself in the courtroom. I think to sit there and listen to the things that she is alleging and to stay so calm and not react, I think takes a very strong person. Because if I was in his shoes and somebody was accusing me of things I did not do, I would be in the courtroom just, eye rolling and huffing and puffing and getting angry, because if there's one thing I can't stand in this world, it's a liar. And I really don't take well to being accused of something I didn't do. So the fact that he just sits there and looks like he's coloring a coloring book and eating some candy, like, go him. I do appreciate when she says something extremely ridiculous and he chuckles. that makes my day.
Yeah.
Because he just like stops what he's doing and chuckles and looks at his lawyer. Shauna and I, when we go to the gym, it's always on in the morning. And you can't hear it, obviously, because you're in a gym. So she and I like to mouth what we think that they're saying to each other. Oh, man, we get rolling. That should be like a YouTube video that we put up on Millennial Momming. But yeah, I think
I'm excited for the Kate Moss, because now that she has mentioned Kate Moss on the stage, she is now she's a viable witness to come in now.
Yeah.
Who was not, I think, on the witness list before because she was deemed irrelevant.
Yep. And then they brought her up.
And Johnny Depp's lawyers got super excited about that.
Yeah.
Like, they're super excited.
I cannot wait. They've taken a break. They've had a week break.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm missing my show.
I am. I'm re-watching.
Yeah, I'm catching up so that I'm ready for when the new episode drops. Yeah. It's wild. I definitely think, I don't see how a jury could find in her favor at this point.
Not saying, because it's not a trial of if she was abusive to him. It is just a defamation trial.
Yep.
If what she said ruined him for no reason.
And I don't think she's put up a strong defense. They keep trying to like paint a picture of Johnny Depp throughout the whole relationship, all the way back to the night they got engaged, I think she was talking about. And those photos came out of Johnny Depp like passed out in various places. I'm sorry, if that was the case, that has nothing to do with what the lawsuit is about. And you trying to paint this picture of him being a drunk and on drugs, that's not what we're here for. Yeah. We're here to find out if you willingly and knowingly lied about what happened to you. And she is not proving her case at this point. No. So, oh man, it's going to be wild. So what else is heavy in the news right now?
I think the
Roe versus Wade.
Roe v. Wade. She asked me to be a guest host, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be fun. It's gonna be exciting." I was like, "What do you want to talk about?" And you're like, "Abortion." I was like, "Ooh, well, there went the fun part."
Whoa, Nelly. We got to talk about it. It's everywhere right now, and we want to be very careful. We hope that our opinions won't offend you. There's a chance that they will because people have very strong feelings.
And it's a very emotional topic.
Very.
One that brings out emotions in everybody.
Yep.
And I think a lot of it is made to bring out those emotions. Like when people bring up arguments, they're purposely bringing up something for an emotional reaction.
Yep.
Not for an actual debate or conversation, but an emotional reaction.
And I have personally been really tired of the very emotional responses that people have to it. I'm not saying you can't have emotion, but when we're trying to discuss something that could have such a big effect on the whole country, I think we need to be very careful in listening to one another instead of just waiting to say what you want to say. And that's why I thought it would be really nice to have this conversation with you, because you and I have always been different. We have different opinions. That's just who we are. But we've always been very careful to be respectful of one another. So I thought if there's anybody that we can have this discussion with, it would be you. I preface that with, we do have different opinions. But I think your opinions are formed most of the time based on your personal life and your personal perspective. And you go through things in your life that maybe change your perspective.
And you are absolutely allowed to learn something, to do your research, to have life experiences that changes your opinion and your perspective on things. That it's not being hypocritical. It's not being a bandwagoner. It is just you growing as a person and saying, hey, my beliefs before are no longer my beliefs now. I have educated myself and I have came to a new conclusion of how I feel.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely okay.
I think when I say that we have different opinions, I think deep down we agree on what we wish could happen in this whole situation. I think we have the same outcome. We want the same outcome. But we have different reasons for why we feel the way that we feel. And I'll be honest with you, when I brought up having this conversation with you a couple weeks, like 2 weeks ago, I was very firm in what my stance was. And then because I knew we were going to be.
Because I had to ask you, because you're like, we're on different sides. And I was like, wait a second. We are? Because I didn't think we were.
Yep. And so I started to do more research because I didn't want to come on and be an idiot.
So since then I have been doing research.
Yeah, and we've had a couple of conversations outside of this, and I've talked to a couple other people too, people that I really respect that can have a conversation and not get judgy. And I haven't changed my position, but I understand why we're fighting. I understand that it's more than just abortion at this point. I think if we were to overturn this, it is a very slippery slope.
It is.
As to what's next.
Overturning Roe v. Wade gives up our HIPAA when it comes to your OBGYN. Because now they have to report your pregnancy. It's no longer between you and the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. We have lawmakers making laws without a medical license who don't fully understand what their implications of these laws could be.
Yep.
And that's scary and dangerous for our women and children, the girls that are going to grow up in this country, not just girls, just people with uteruses that are going to grow up in this country and have to go through this. We are both at the age, we're not having kids. We will probably not have any more kids, and this isn't going to affect us.
Correct.
But it's going to affect the next generation.
And we both have daughters. I will start by saying...
did you read, the history of abortion? Because I did not. Until we brought up doing this, I did not even look into the history. That it was not even a topic of discussion in this country until the Civil War. And before that, it was perfectly fine until the quickening, which is when the woman felt the fetal movement.
Yep.
And that was fine. And then they decided to start the AMA, American Medical Association,
yes.
And white male physicians wanted to take over the OBGYN practice.
Which is crazy.
That's when it
in and of itself.
Yeah, that's when they made it where abortions were barbaric and people that performed them and did them, because at that time, the people that were the midwives and stuff were African American women or indigenous women.
Yep.
Were helping as midwives.
And so they were painted as the villain.
Mm-hmm.
And white males were painted as the heroes that were trying to save all these babies.
Yeah.
That's how it was presented and became such a controversial topic.
And political topic.
Yep.
Which is insane.
It is insane. And you have brought up such valid points. And somebody else that I spoke to, it was actually a male that I spoke to, brought up a lot of really valid points. Let me begin with, I am an adopted child. Mm-hmm. I am a sexual assault survivor. And then my mother, who raised me, was unable to have children. Biologically, she was unable to do so. So my perspective of I'm against abortion comes from my personal perspective. If my birth mother had an abortion, I would not be here. My children would not be here. My mom would not be a mom. So I've always been, to me, in my life, it has always been abortion or adoption. Those have been the two. It wasn't...
there was no gray area. It was always black and white.
Yes. So I was like, you don't have to kill your baby. You could give it to somebody who wants a baby and would love it and give it a good home. That has been my stance since I was very, very young.
And I grew up Catholic.
Yes.
And went to Catholic school. So obviously, most people know how Catholics feel about abortion.
Correct.
That was how you were raised. And that was the beliefs you had.
Yep.
So.
With me, the part that has always bothered me is when people, when people go into a very controversial topic and they repeat the same arguments over and over. It doesn't matter which side you're on. It's always the same argument. And to me, that's always like, okay, you have nothing to contribute to this conversation. You're just regurgitating what you have heard. And that's when I personally shut down. That's when I'm like, I'm not going to discuss this with you because I don't feel like you have thoughts. You're repeating what you've heard. One of the arguments that I absolutely adore for abortion rights, supporting abortion rights, is when they say, oh, the people that are pro-life don't actually care about children. That's my favorite, and I'll tell you why. Because I have always cared about the children. I wanted to be a social worker when I was younger. I wanted to go into the foster care system. As I said, I am a child of adoption. I wanted to help place children in homes that they could feel safe and loved. So when you put a blanket statement out and just repeat it over and over again, oh, if you're pro-life, you don't actually care about kids. You just want to control women. No, no, I actually do care about that life because I see that life in myself. I see that life in my brother. I see that life in all these children that wouldn't have good parents if they hadn't been adopted, let's say. I see my mother in those conversations because if everybody who got pregnant and just didn't want the baby had an abortion, women like my mother would not be moms. And my mom is, was born to be a mother. I always said that.
Yeah.
So growing up, that was why I felt the way that I felt. When I was sexually assaulted, I thought that I was pregnant. Because that's another one they love to throw out. Well, if you were raped and you were pregnant, would you keep the baby? No, you wouldn't. Actually, I was going to. So I thought I technically was pregnant, but I lost the pregnancy very, very early. But that was a question that had gone through my head as I was like, oh my God. And I was 14 at the time. And I thought, oh my God, if I'm pregnant, what am I going to do? And instantly my mind went to adoption because obviously I'm 14 years old. I'm not going to keep the baby. In the environment I was in, that just wasn't sustainable for me. But it never once occurred to me that, oh, I'm going to abort this child. Because in my brain at that time, I thought, it's not the child's fault, that I was raped. It's not the child's fault that it was conceived. And why should they not get to be in this world because of, this bad situation that happened, and somebody else can love them.
I had never thought of having an abortion. It was never anything I thought of. I had an ectopic pregnancy, which I miscarried naturally. And then I had my son, and I got pregnant with my daughter. And now Jared came to me, and he's like, here are all of your choices. There is an abortion. He gave me an abortion clinic. Adoption. He gave me an adoption center. And he's like, or we have the baby. Didn't need to give me anything. I already had my OBGYN. He's like, these are all your options. It's your choice. And I was like, what do you want? He's like, it's not my choice. He's like, it's your body, your choice. Whatever you decide, I support you 100%.
And that's like, amazing.
I can't make that choice for you.
And that's amazing. I think that's rare.
And that is the only time I think I ever thought of abortion. Talk to you. You obviously had your own opinion. It's like, well, it's not. We're just discussing every aspect of what our options are. But yeah, it was absolutely amazing. I couldn't imagine Jared doing anything else.
At the time that you got pregnant with Sophia, we had been trying to have a baby. And it just was not happening. And then I had the miscarriage around there.
Yeah.
And then when you said the words abortion, you didn't tell me you were having one. You said, these are the conversations that we're having. These are the options we are considering. And it really made me sad. And that was, like you said, a very emotional response to a situation, because I was putting my own thoughts into it and thinking, like, why would you abort this baby? Like, I'll take your baby. I think I told you that. I was like, I'll take your baby. I'll raise your baby. Like, just don't do this. But I did really love that you had such a good support system in Jared. Because I was very clear that if this was the choice that you were going to make, I love you and support you, but I don't support that choice. So when I say that, I meant like I wasn't going to go with you to do it. And you respected that. You understood that. But obviously I'm going to love you and be there for you. But since this Roe versus Wade has come really back into the news, my opinion has changed in that I still don't support abortion. I will never support abortion. I don't care if it was rape, incest, whatever situations people like to bring up. However,
because a lot of the times when people bring up those situations, all they want is that emotional response.
Yeah.
They don't care for the actual debate, the actual scientific facts about
the statistics.
What you could do. None of that. They don't care.
Because I did, back in college, I wrote a, what is it called? A persuasive essay. And I chose adoption versus abortion. So I had to do all that research and all the statistics. Now, mind you, my statistics at this point are, how old am I? 10 years old?
10 years later.
10 years later. My statistics are out of date. I completely, don't come for me. I know they're out of date. But at the time, for people that were having abortions, the ones that stated why they were having an abortion, okay, I want to make that very clear. Less than 0.1% was due to rape or incest. So, that being said, whatever. I feel like if you start putting laws on people's bodies, it's a very slippery slope in that where are we going from here? Because you're literally opening the door to say that we as humans don't have rights over our bodies.
Correct. Corpses have more bodily autonomy at that point than we would have.
Yes.
Because you can't take organs from a corpse without written approval beforehand.
That's a really good point.
And we wouldn't have that.
Yeah. And I think that for that reason, I would have to say that I am now pro-choice. The reason being that while I don't agree with abortion, I do not agree with it. I will never agree with it. You're not going to change my mind on this. I don't think it's right to police somebody's body. I just don't.
No.
It's just not. Take away everything else out of it. Yeah, take away the whole pregnancy part of it, let's say. Remove that from the equation. Why would anybody say, oh yeah, I get to tell Sally Joe that she can't have a breast augmentation? What business of yours is that? And tell Jamie over there that he can't get a mole removed. I'm not saying they're the same thing. What I'm saying is, you cannot tell somebody what they can do with their own body. You cannot put a law on that. Because if we don't have rights to ourselves, what do we have rights to?
Yeah, I saw a really good one where a nurse was like, hey, I know that you are a DNR, but that is not what I believe in. So if you code out, I'm still going to try to save you because that's my belief. And you now have to go by my beliefs.
That is such a good one.
Yeah.
It really is. I wish that people could see that the issue is not the pregnancy part of this. The issue is that people need better access and more education.
More education for sure.
For
there
birth
are
control.
Things that people say that I'm like, that's not how anything works. Like one of the lawmakers wanted to take an ectopic pregnancy and try to reimplant it into the uterus.
Yeah, so to take it from the ovaries and reimplant it in the uterus where it could supposedly thrive.
And there's no medical procedure at this current point in time that supports that.
That's not how that works.
That's not how our bodies work. And there are lawmakers making laws without medical degrees on this.
Yeah, that's insane. When you think about it, when you take away the emotion that you've brought up, when you take away the personal feelings like I have, which is very hard for me.
And religion for people.
Oh my goodness. And because the religious side of it.
There is separation of church and state for a reason.
Yeah.
Because religion evokes a ton of emotions from people. And the founding fathers didn't want that in our...
Alexander Hamilton. If you haven't seen it yet, please go see it. But yeah, for me, it was definitely like a learning experience when we started talking that this was going to be our topic, because I had very strong opinions about it. And now I'm realizing that
you can be pro choice. And that doesn't affect how your view, but that just means that you're supporting other women and people with uteruses in their choice on their decisions.
And I always felt like, and I've told so many people this, and looking back, I'm like, wow, you're an idiot. But I always said, you can't have two pros. I always said you can't be pro-choice and pro-life. When there's a pro, there's got to be a con, was what I always said. And I said, so you're either pro-abortion or you're anti-abortion. And I was like, and stop making it that it's this gray area in between. That is where the issue lies. It is not about saving a life and saving a baby or whatever you have. It is literally protecting our rights as humans over ourselves. And when you take out that emotion, when you take out the religion, when you take out the pregnancy, when you take all of these things out of this debate, what do you have left? What is the basis of this argument? You are trying to put a law on people's own bodies.
Yes.
That's insane.
And scary. Because where does it stop? Have you seen The Handmaid's Tale?
Oh, no,
Like,
no.
That is what most of this goes to.
No.
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it. I have heard so many things about it.
And I'm like, I don't want to even imagine going down that. The scariest part that I've heard is where does it stop?
Yeah.
And we don't. And why are these laws being made? And you can speculate all day long. I've heard people speculate like the only people that can be tried for this is women. Places are trying to make it a felony. That takes away your right to vote. So now you don't even have the choice over your body. You don't have the right to vote. Where does it stop?
Yeah. And then we were discussing earlier, if you were to have a miscarriage, your miscarriage versus an abortion is going to look the same in your body. In your body to a doctor, there's not going to be something that they can tell like, oh, they had a miscarriage or, oh, they had an abortion. They're going to look the same. So what did you say to me earlier?
So that's a really good question. That was a long time ago.
You said women that have had a miscarriage, not only are you going through
the emotional traumatic experience that we've both been through, even if it is an unplanned pregnancy, it takes a lot out of you.
Yeah.
You guys were trying.
Yep.
I was not.
Yep.
And it was still a very emotional time. And your body's response to it, your emotion, it's insane. And now you have, on top of that, lawyers you're going to have to get. You're going to have to fight to prove that it was just a miscarriage. You're already going through one of the hardest parts of your life. And now you're just going to add that on top of it.
And I think that's insane. Like, that's insane. And no logical person could sit there and really dive into the issues at hand and not like this this cut and dry thing. If you really dive into that gray area in between, you're going to understand that there's no way that you could support putting laws on somebody's body. Like, that's insane. That's insane. I don't care who you are. That's insane. And as I've stated, I am against abortion. What I support is free birth control, better access to birth control. You should be able to walk into your local pharmacy and find any birth control that you want. You shouldn't need a prescription. You shouldn't need to go to the doctor. And if they say, okay, we should have these things, then you should have free access to this doctor. You should have free access to your birth control. I think we need way more education.
Way more. Not even more, better.
Yeah.
Because the sex ed we have now
God.
Each state has their own. And there's no rules and regulations on what they can and can't teach.
Also, insane.
Yeah.
We need to be better educated so that we don't even have to make these choices or these decisions, and laws like this don't have to exist because we are
educated.
Thank you. We are educated. We have supported. We have the tools that we need to help us through these situations. Like my favorite thing to say was, you know that when you lay down and have sex, there is a possibility of a baby being created. I think we can all agree that, like, we know that. I hope.
Yes.
I hope. And if we don't, good God, we need better education. So my thought was, oh, well, you obviously should like take precautions against that. Yeah, you obviously should. Not everybody has access to those options. Not everybody is in a safe space to get these options. Not everybody can afford these options. Don't you think we should spend more time and laws trying to prevent a situation from happening than just say, oh, well, you're on your own for all of A through whatever the second to last letter of the alphabet is. And then, thank you. And then, but when you get to Z, like, you're going to jail. You know, that doesn't make sense.
No. Do you know what else I heard that was really emotion provoking? That when the conviction or a miscarriage or abortion is more than it is for the rapist, that's when you have a problem.
That's insane. That's insane.
That's insane. Like, they're looking for death charges. Like, you're going to be convicted of murder, and your rapist walks free, gets a year. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, when 2 and 2 don't add up, we have a problem. That doesn't add up.
No.
I really appreciate that we were able to have this conversation.
Yes.
Because...
And again, whatever your stance on it, it is your choice. You can go read, you can do any kind of... You can change your choice. That's completely up to you.
I completely changed.
I did too.
Thoughts that I have had since... I mean, I'm 33. Thoughts that I've had my whole life. I finally get it. And I get why we're fighting so hard. And one of the other things that somebody had said was, you know, where does... If we overturn this, what other laws are we opening the door to overturn? Like, what's next? I said earlier.
I've heard them state they want to go after Griswold, which is married couples being able to get their own contraceptives. Like, where does it stop?
Where does it stop?
What's the end game here?
That's the scariest part, I think. This is like, this is fight or flight at this point, because if we allow this to be overturned, I think we're in for a very scary future. And a very scary future mostly for, you know, women.
Yeah. In 2022, we should not be having the discussion that a person gets to make their own decisions on their body.
That should not be up for question.
That's not a 2022 debate. 2022 debate is Johnny Depp, Amber Heard.
Yeah, like, these are the things we should be focusing on. Not overturning a law that's been around for
our entire lives. Yeah. People that are having babies, it has been around our entire lives. Everybody in that age range, it's been around.
Like, are we going to go back to segregation? Are we not going to be allowed to marry interracially? Like, this could end. I mean, this could be so bad. And it's very, very scary. I get it now, man. I get it. And I thank you for that.
If you would never have an abortion yourself, that does not mean that you can't be pro-choice. You can absolutely respect that we need to fight together to work towards this goal. And if you are absolutely against abortion, that's fine. You can keep that as your belief as yourself. But what we need to do is start having actual discussions and not emotional triggering responses.
Yeah.
You can sit here and we can have conversations all day long, like 91% of abortions happen before 13 weeks. Like, you can do that. Fine. But there's statistics, there's reasons people throw out the same thing to get that emotional response. So then it's just an emotional battle.
And I feel like those are... they're Cosmopolitan, the magazine and the online presence, Cosmo, put out an article. I believe it's on their Instagram. If you are trying to figure out how to have a conversation with people, Cosmo just put out an article talking about how to have these types of difficult conversations with people who don't share your belief. I thought it was fascinating, and it was one of the first things that I saw that made me go into this with an open mind. And like you said, it is totally okay to research and change your opinion. Anybody that knows me is going to listen to this and be like, whoa, now, this is not the girl that I know. And that's okay. I want you all to feel like it's okay to learn and grow and evolve and change your thoughts.
Either way, whether you want to go pro-choice or pro-life, either
in
way
anything in life,
Yeah.
anything in life, it is okay to change your opinion. It is okay to learn and grow and acknowledge, like, hey, I used to feel this way. Now I feel this way. That is okay. A-okay. And in fact, I give you mad props for that because it's not easy to do.
No,
And
absolutely not.
on that note, I hope that you all made it this far into the podcast
We
because
didn't offend anybody. That
that was never the goal.
definitely, though, that if you're going to have a discussion, you want to make sure you're in a safe space, a mentally healthy space, and that you are open-minded.
Yeah.
Before you go in it, make sure you're willing to change your mind if presented evidence. Otherwise, it's not. It's just going to be an argument.
Yeah. Or at least go into it saying, okay, I'm going to have this discussion and it's not going to get to an emotional level. If you are in a discussion and you feel like it is getting to an emotional level, it is absolutely okay to say, you know what, can we table this? And maybe we can talk about it another time. Maybe we can't talk about this. Though it's okay to get out of those situations as well. Your mental health is way more important than being right. So please figure out how to get into a safe conversation and figure out how to safely get out of a toxic conversation because
we've all been there. We've
we
all
have-
been in discussions where people are just trying to say stuff to get your emotions provoked and you need an out.
Yep. And yeah, I think it's been really nice to be friends with somebody like you who has always been able to have a conversation.
You helped me grow so much. Do you remember the person I was when we started?
Yeah, you're not even the same human.
No, like
No.
The years of Catholic school.
Thank you. I undid it very well.
Sorry, Mom and Dad, for the years of education you spent.
Sorry about that private school
I'm just
tuition.
kidding. But when you get out and you got to make your own decisions, and
Mhm.
it's not, you're around different people that have different views.
Yep.
And you get to make those decisions and grow. When you're in a spot that everybody around you has one certain set of views, you're going to have those sort of views growing up because that's all you know.
I think it's really important to surround yourself with friends, especially who respect you enough to want you to evolve. So while all of my friends are very different, and have different opinions, at the end of the day, our morals are the same in that we love each other. We want the best for each other. If that means, a different route in life, so be it.
We've had that. We've had
We've
friends
definitely had that.
who we were friends with for a long time, and they decided to take a different path.
Yeah. And that's
We wish them
okay.
the best.
Yep.
We understand.
And you just need to be around people that are willing to give you the space that you need to grow and evolve. Because at the end of the day, what are we here on earth for if not to grow and evolve and become better and better? And sometimes that means changing your viewpoints, and that's fine. And don't let people
And
make you
having
feel bad
different
about it.
viewpoints from the people, but completely respecting what they believe in and what they have to say when it comes to that topic.
And you can disagree with family or friends on this particular topic, especially. You guys can disagree. That's okay. But please try and be respectful. Please try and really hear what somebody is saying instead of waiting for that moment where you can jump in and say what you need to be said. You can't go into a conversation thinking, oh, I'm the only one that deserves to be heard. That is not a conversation. Just want to make that very clear. So please, definitely check out that article. It's on Cosmo's IG and I believe their website. So that article about having difficult conversations with your loved ones. So I think that's about it for today's episode. Did you have fun?
I did.
All right, everybody. Well, once again,
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, of course.
Thank you for listening. We hope you made it through this episode, and
We hope nobody got offended, really. I really hope that.
That's not what we're here for. We're here to just spread knowledge and help everyone. Help everyone.
To be an open, free space for people to talk. If they want to reach out to you or Elizabeth and talk about what you guys had here, they're absolutely okay to do that.
Just please be kind.
Yes.
That's all we ask is if you want to have a discussion or you have a comment that you would like to leave, please try and be kind. And if you can't be kind, your comment will be deleted. So just on that note, we love you all. We appreciate you all. And we hope to see you next week. Have a fantastic
Not
week.
see you because you're on the radio, but listen.
I can see you.
Oh,
You don't
okay.
know.
Okay, well, that's impressive.
Come on back next week, guys. We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.